Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Epic 7 tier list for you guys today. And today we're going to be ranking all of the units that you can get from the Season 2 Selective Summon. Now the Season 2 Selective Summon, guys, if you guys did not know, after you beat Adventure Mode 10-10 in Episode 3, you'll be able to do another Selective Summon. And it works very similarly, if not identically, to the first Selective Summon when you reroll your account. You are guaranteed a 5-star unit on the first, 10th, 20th, and 30th pull on the Selective Summon. You get a total of 30 pulls, and you can save a summon that you get, so you can actually always go back to the one that you saved in case you get something else that was not as good as the one that you saved in the past. That being said, you're going to see that the pool of units here, there are 12 units you can get total, are going to be completely different from the first Selective Summon, because these are going to be featuring Episode 2, Episode 3 units, but these units are still very powerful. For the most part, these are mostly going to be for PvP, right? You're not going to really have a lot of PvE usage in these units here, but by the time you beat Episode 3, 10-10, you are most likely going to be in some sort of PvP content anyways. So yeah, no need to rush to complete this because it's not an event. There's no time limit on it. You can always just do this whenever. If you do this next year or the year after, it'll still be there. So you can always take your time in completing Adventure. That being said, we're going to be ranking all these units like I said. Let's start at the B tier. So at the B tier, guys, actually I'm going to put Bomb Model Kana at the bottom here. Bomb Model Kana is technically the best of these units, I'd say, because she's very good in PvE, but she is a connection unit. You can get her for free just by doing connection quests. That makes there no reason to actually get her from this Selective Summon. So for that reason, she's the worst you can get. Honestly, if there was an F tier, I'd put her there because you can already get her for free. The other three units, guys, they have some very little usage in PvP. You won't really see them there. You have Mort, who is kind of still a meme. He's not that bad, but there's a lot of counters to him, right? You can still use like Hwa-Young to one-shot him. Any fire unit really messes him up. Landy destroys him, right? S10A is very good against him. Now we have Ilyanov. Ilyanov is pretty similar to Mort, same boat. She is a PvP unit, but not that strong. Her damage is a little weak. She's very reliant on her injuries. I think she's not as bad as people think, but she does also have a lot of counters, right? You can just bring any ice unit, right? Usually units that are fire, earth, or ice, if they're not very strong at what they do, you're not going to really use them or pick them a lot because there are going to be a lot of counter picks, unlike Moonlight units. Now we have Euphine. Euphine, not really used in PvP at all. You can use her in Guild Wars as a one-shotter to one-shot units, right? But mostly going to be used in Banshee one-shot, but there's a lot better options nowadays in Euphine. She's pretty hard to build for Banshee one-shot, even though it is possible. So that is why she's also in the B tier. So the B tier units, guys, definitely want to avoid them. I don't think they're that great, and you're way better off getting anything else above this tier. Now we have the A tier. So A tier units, pretty usable, but you're still not going to see them that often. We have Urvalen at the top here. So Urvalen recently got buffed for PvP. He's still decent in PvE as a Banshee one-shotter, but like I said, there's a lot of options for that already. And in PvP, even though he did get a buff, he still feels a little bit lackluster. I don't think he's insanely strong or anything. He seems usable, but barely. So for that reason, I have him in the A tier. I still think he needs another buff or another, fix, because it seems like, for a thief that wants to get hit, he's very squishy still. He still has a lot of base stat problems, and I think it's really hard to use him in the current meta still, but maybe that'll change if the meta shifts. Now we have Cecilia. So Cecilia is a very underrated unit. PvE, she's only really ever used in Light Expedition, but she's very good in Light Expo, if you guys are looking for a Light Expo tank. But the thing is, Adventure Ross, who is top tier PvP, top tier PvE, is also good in Light Expo, although not as good as Cecilia. But if you already have your A-Ross built, why would you ever build your Cecilia, right? If that's the only area she's used in. In PvP, you can use her as a disruptor with her taunt and her provoke. But like I said, why would you use her over your A-Ross? Because A-Ross, although he is very different in his skill kit, he is just a way safer pick in PvP. So Cecilia, A tier unit, she's still decent, but there's just a better knight in the same role in the same element actually as well, that is just a lot better than her and a lot safer in A-Ross. Now we're getting to the S tier units, guys. So these units you can actually use pretty often in PvP. I actually like these units a lot, and one of these units actually is going to be a very good PvE unit as well, and that unit is going to be Flan. So in PvE, guys, Flan can be used as a Wyvern or Wyvern 13 one-shotter. You can use her to boost your Sigurd to one-shot the boss. She's very good. She will make the gear requirements for Wyvern a little bit lower. In PvP, though, that is where she really shines. She is a cleaver's best friend. She's a super strong secondary opener. If you use her with any opener like Ran, with Summertime Assyria, or even another fast opener like Conquer Lilius even, she's extremely powerful. She has a CR pushback on her S3. She has a defense break on her S3 as well. She has a attack buff crit damage buff as well in her S2 with the CR push. She's extremely strong, and I think for that reason, she's a very good unit to have in your team if you like to cleave. Outside of cleaving though, you won't really use her in PvP, but if you guys do like cleaving and playing aggressive, she's a top tier pick, pretty much almost a must have. Now we have Senya, guys. Senya recently got buffed. Her S2 got changed to a barrier, which is very small, but she is definitely a lot stronger than before. Her damage is actually really high, and she's actually really annoying to play against because every time you hit her, you're just taking damage if you're critting, right? So it's really annoying to deal with. She also has counter attacks, right? She just does really high damage for a knight. I think a lot of people undervalue her. I think after her buffs, she's still very good, or she became very good, and I think Senya is a very good pick in PvP right now. You'll see her most often in like World Arena. You can even use her in Guild Wars Defense, I've seen, with Conquer Lilius and even Fire Lilius. But, very strong unit. I think she's underrated. She still has a lot of counters, right? With like Hwayoung, Landy, Spectre Tenebria, even stuff like that. But the thing is, if those units aren't there, then she's very powerful. Now SS tier. So these units are the ones you definitely are going to want to pull for. I highly recommend getting one of these 4. If you guys get really unlucky and you don't get any of these units, then the S tier or A tier units will be fine as well. But the SS tier units are a huge step above the others. So starting off, we have Politis. So Politis, Cleaver's best friend and anti-Cleaver. So it's like really weird that she fits the cleaving role, but she also counters cleave, and that's all because of her S2. Her S2 is so strong, it cuts any opener that uses a non-attack skill, right? AOL also will cut Rands when they S2, will also cut Conquer Liliuses and stuff like that, and if you put her on a high damage build, if you bring her against cleavers, you can just one-shot the cleave team. It's really funny with her S2 and S3. If you bring her on a tanky effect in this build, which is very common for players that don't like to cleave, she can just perma-CC the enemy team if you run her on an artifact like Abyssal Crown. Very annoying to deal with if you're playing with cleave units, if you're fighting her, and if you are against her, and that team or that player is cleaving, it's very annoying to fight against as well, because usually the units that like to stop cleave are going to be units that have non-attack skills, right? Anything that can either heal, CR push, stuff like that, and Politis will just mess you up. So SS tier for sure, extremely powerful in PvP for cleavers and for countering cleave. And honestly, if you guys like playing standard and you guys don't like, playing against cleave, she's a pretty much must have and must build. And even as a cleaver yourself, she's also a must build, must have, because her damage is insane. Now we have Valencia, guys. So Valencia recently got buffed. Very powerful. If you put her on injury set and pen set, she becomes very annoying to deal with. Very high damage with her S1 into S2 combo. She has a defense buff, which is really nice in her S3. She has AoE strip, and she also has a lot of injuries. If you put her on injury set, she applies injuries so fast, and she becomes a pretty decent counter to very meta units like Apocalypse Ravi and stuff like that are very tanky. Also, if you don't have injury set, you can always just run her on speed set or even crit set, and she does amazing damage as well if you put her on the damage S2 exclusive equipment that she has. Very powerful unit, guys. If you like playing with bruisers and playing standard, very strong. If you like cleaving though, then you probably don't want to get her from this selective summon. There's going to be Politis, who's a lot better, and another unit in this tier that is also going to be very good for cleavers, which we'll talk about in a second. Now we have Shu, guys, so very similar to Valencia. Fits the bruiser role, but they play a lot differently. Valencia is a lot more consistent. She does a lot more consistent damage output and stuff like that. Shu is just the rat unit. She's basically Ice Charles. You're just praying to God that you're going to counter on every single hit that you get, right? She has a built-in counter whenever you hit a unit on her team. And if you put her on counter set as well, she can counter as well. And the best part is if you run her on the exclusive equipment, she can actually S2 after she S1s if you get lucky, and she can pretty much one-shot units. Very fun. Also has AoE damage and crit damage, or crit resistance buff, I think. Very strong. Just really annoying to deal with. Whenever you fight a Shu, guys, every time you hit someone on her team or herself, you're just clenching and hoping she does not counter. And if she does counter, you're clenching even harder and praying that she doesn't S2 after. And if she does, you pretty much want to yield the game. So that's pretty much how it is against Shu. Very annoying to deal with, and her damage is insanely high. She does have some RNG built into her kit though, but if you do get that good roll, she can solo games for you really easily, basically anywhere, right? Guild Wars Defense, RTA, stuff like that. Now we have Ada. So Ada, one of the best cleave units in the game. So if you are cleaving, if you like cleaving, guys, honestly, she'd be like SSS tier. But I put her in SS tier because not everyone likes to cleave, and I think Politis is just way more flexible. Valencia and Shu are way more flexible as well. But Ada as a cleaver, She is so strong. She can basically solo cleave a team. She has insane AoE damage. She cuts with herself. She has CR push for her team. It's just insane. Basically, anytime you're fighting a cleaver, guys, and you guys don't know what to ban in World Arena and you see an Ada, just ban Ada. And if you guys want to cleave and you have an Ada on your bench, please build her. She is so powerful. If you have any other unit that's fast with her, she can basically solo cleave teams for you. If you guys like cleaving, then I would definitely recommend Ada, guys. If you guys like cleaving, it's either Ada or Politis for sure. But in general, guys, I think any of these SS units will do you fine. So that's pretty much it for this Selective Summon Season 2 tier list, guys. Hope you guys found this useful. I definitely decided to update this because of the recent buffs we've seen in units, right? Ada got buffed, Shu got buffed, Lencia got buffed, Senya got buffed, or Raylan got buffed, right? Pretty much almost half of these units all got buffed. So I decided to update this list, and I do plan to update my tier list from the past as well, and keep you guys updated with the current meta. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this tier list, guys, and I hope to see you guys in my live streams, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.